What's up? It's your boy Austin Rutherford. We're back here again where we talk all things business, finances, and real estate. I'm sure a lot of you guys are sitting there trying to figure out how to get your first deal and how to get into real estate. I've been there. I've done that. 6 years ago, I was on the same shoes that you were at this time. I didn't know where to turn to. I didn't know how to get started. I didn't know what options there were available to me. You know, I was doing all the educating and all the learning that I could do, but I just didn't know where to start. I didn't know how to get into the game. So I'm gonna break down the first deal that I ever did in real estate with you guys and how I made over $100,000 on my first flip ever. This is simply just to give you some motivation to keep things pushing. So when I first got started, first things first, from the day I decided to start real estate to the day that I made money in real estate was a 16-month process. It was a very, very, very long time. So when I got started, I paid for a mentor. I paid $25,000 first time I ever got into real estate to teach me how to flip houses. And like I said, from that point to the point I actually was profitable and made any money, it was a 16-month process from start to actually making a profit. Knowing what I know now, I definitely would have done things differently, but hey, that's life. So I got started. The first thing I ever learned was marketing. Marketing is the key to real estate. We don't own a real estate company. We own a marketing company. Real estate just happens to be our product. So marketing was the first thing that I learned, and direct mail, sending letters to potential sellers, was my way of marketing at the time. So at the time, I would literally handwrite the letters. So I would get a list, I would do some driving for dollars, I would buy a list from, List Source, anything like that. And then I would literally go down into my parents' basement and handwrite the letters till, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the morning until I finished all the letters. So I finally got a good lead 9 months in to my journey in real estate. Seller called me, said he had interest in selling. We talked on the phone. I ended up going over to the house to meet him to look at the property. When I got to the property needed a lot of work. And honestly, I really didn't know what I was looking at. I was never in construction. I was never in real estate. I never had a business before. So, I was going off of what I learned from the mentoring, from the mentorship. I believe that the way to get to where you want to go is to learn from other people to speed up that learning curve. So I was able to go into a house and fully analyze the situation based on the mentorship, based on my education prior to that. So I went to go meet the seller in person. He ended up wanting to sell the deal. We had a great conversation. We agreed that I would be purchasing it for $102,000, 102 grand. But the caveat was that it looked like there was some real foundation issues. So I put the offer contingent on an engineering inspection. Again, no idea how to do that. I called my mentor. I was like, hey, something looks wrong in the basement, but I really want this deal. What do I do? He said, make an offer contingent on the inspection of the foundation. So we did that. The inspector went out there, the engineer went out there, went through the property, and actually saw that there was a lot of foundation work that was needed. So I got the report from the engineer, and then I sent it to a foundation contractor. So then the contractor took that report and went to the house and estimated what the work needed and how much it was going to cost to make it structurally sound like the engineer said. And that work was going to end up costing $28,000. So I went back to the seller. I said, hey, Mr. Seller, I know we agreed on $102,000, but, it was contingent on this engineer inspection. Here's the inspection so you can have it for yourself, so you can see, exactly what needs done and how there actually is real foundation issues. So, at this point, unfortunately, the only way I can move forward is if we reduce the price by $28,000, because here's an estimate from a contractor, and that's really the price that I'm gonna have to put into it. So, I feel like it's only right that, since that was contingent on the foundation inspection, that, we reduced the price by 28 grand. He ended up agreeing to it. So I ended up purchasing the property for $74,000. So during my inspection period, while I was doing the engineering report, I met contractors out at the property. Again, never been in this business before, but, I was guided through the process from my mentors. So what I did is I put together a scope of work, very, very detailed scope of work. Everything I wanted done to the property on a piece of paper called a scope of work, from landscaping to roofing to siding to windows to floor plans to kitchens to bathrooms to framing. Everything that you need that I wanted done to the entire house, I put together on a scope of work. So I took that, it was probably 6 or 7 pages of a scope of work, and I started meeting contractors out at the house to walk through the property to get an estimate on the job. A few of the contractors, their pricing was absolutely insane. It was through the roof. Some of the other contractors were more reasonable, but they didn't seem trustworthy, or they didn't seem like they were capable of handling a job of that size. So, luckily I ended up finding a good contractor, which I thought was a good contractor. And we ended up buying the house at 74 grand, and we were off to the races. So during the renovation, there were all types of issues that came up. Termites, sewer problems, more structural problems. It was nonstop. But that's part of rehabbing houses. That's part of having a contingency budget within your budget to help cover some of those unknown costs. Spent way more than I was planning on spending, but like I said, that's part of it. So for me, I didn't know anything about the business, about construction, anything like that. So what I did is I went to the house every single day during the renovation to learn, just to see what was going on. I wouldn't sit there for 12 hours and watch every little detail, but I would stop by for 10, 30, 40 minutes and walk around the house and just look at what guys were doing and how they were fixing things, and the framing and the electrical and the plumbing and the HVAC and the siding and the windows. And I just wanted to learn and see everything that they had going on so I could use that knowledge for the future. At some points, I even helped with the renovation of this. I went down there, they were doing demolition. I was young, I was 21 years old. I was hungry, I was wanting to learn. I was wanting to get the project done so I could get paid. So, I would jump in, I would swing the hammer on the demo, I'd paint the trim if need be. Where they had to move landscaping, I helped them move landscaping, because the faster things got done, faster the deal got done, the faster that I got paid. So long story short, we got towards the end of the job, and the contractor started messing around and showing up some days and not showing up the other days. And again, this was my first job, so I didn't know what the expectation was, but I figured if we were trying to finish a job, your guys should be working on the job every single day. That kind of made sense to me. The good thing here though, when he started not showing up, I was still behind on payments, which means that he had done more work to the property than I have paid for. So for me, I was good. I could go out and hire somebody else and pick right back up where he left off. So I started telling him that. I said, hey, I see that, you haven't been there for 2 days. Nothing's happened to the property, nothing's changed. So, right now, I'm gonna have to bring somebody else in if we don't get this job done. And when I bring somebody else in, by the way, I'm gonna have to pay them the money that I'm owed to you because the job's not done, so I'm gonna have to pay them. So, you gotta get to the house, you gotta get there ASAP, and you gotta finish the project, or I'm only left with one option. If I would've paid everybody out and they didn't have much money left, they wouldn't have came back. There's no way they would have came back. But if you still have a lot of money that's owed to them, then they're more inclined to come back and finish the job. Even if it's going to be difficult, they're still going to do it because they want their money. So the last 2 days of the job, I actually ended up having to let them go finally because it was too much of this. It was literally fighting to get them to the job to finish, and it was a really nicely done job. It just took way longer than we expected. And, I was there trying to pull teeth to get people there. So I let them go the 2 days before the job. Again, never been in construction before, but it was simple things like caulking and paint touch up and changing doorknobs and simple things like that needed done. But it was a lot of those simple things. So what I ended up actually doing, we staged the property. And then what I actually ended up doing, I slept at the house the last 2 nights. There was a love seat that we used in the living room for the couch, and it was really small. I couldn't even lay down on it. So I propped my feet up on the edge of the love sofa, and I had to do what I had to do. I worked 20 hours a day, probably 19, 20 hours a day, got a few hours of sleep because I was trying to get this project done as quickly as possible. So this project was a full gut rehab. I'm talking about everything that needed done to it. It's one of the biggest projects to date that I've ever done. We did all the landscaping. We put a 600 square foot addition on the property. We replaced the entire underground sewer. We built a new two-car detached garage. We gutted it to the studs. We reframed the entire house. We put 28 grand into the foundation. We did all the electrical, all the HVAC, all the plumbing, all the drywall, all the insulation, the kitchens, the bathrooms, the floors. Literally everything you could do to a property, we did it. And that was the first job I ever did. So if you're sitting there saying, well, this job's too big, don't say that, because take the opportunity. If you have the right guidance, you can get through any of it. So I ended up spending more than I wanted to spend, but total rehab budget was $170,000. So we had 170 grand into the rehab on top of the purchase price of $74,000. So we got the project done, and when I bought this thing, I was hoping to sell it for $300,000. I took another look at the comps, looked at the market and how it shifted over the last 6 months, and luckily the market had been going up. So I was planning on selling for 300. I was like, man, let me shoot for the stars. I put a 600 square foot addition on this. I did all the work. Let me try and really push this. So I ended up listing it for $350,000. So I left the house at like 9 a.m. the morning that I finished all the work, and I listed it as soon as I got home. So I listed it, and then 7 hours later, I ended up with 11 offers. That same day, I ended up with 11 offers on the property, one of which the highest was $375,000. So I listed it for 50 grand more than I wanted to, and then I got an offer for 25 grand more than that, $75,000. I was geeking. I was super happy. So I ended up putting it under contract. They ended up doing their inspection, going through the property, and bought it 30 days later. And your boy made $103,000 net profit on my first deal ever. But the thing here is, I was a 22-year-old kid at the time. I made $103,000 net profit. I could have gone and splurged and went on vacations and bought all these things. I did not spend a single penny on anything. I reinvested it all into the business. I paid off my debt, and then I put it all back into the business. I didn't buy a pair of shoes. I didn't go on any trips or vacations. I didn't go out to the club and celebrate. I didn't do any of those things because I knew I had bigger goals. I had bigger wants. I had bigger desires. So I put the money back into the business and kept this thing rolling forward. So the few lessons that I learned, number one, is having an extremely detailed scope of work, because the contractor tried to come back to me and say like, hey, you know, this, and this wasn't on the original agreement, but it was in my scope of work. So it was on the original agreement. So having a very, very detailed scope of work is huge. The next thing is having a contingency budget. All projects are going to go over budget. So having money set aside for a contingency budget to make sure that you have money to finish the job is huge as well. So make sure the bigger the project, the more contingency budget you want to have set aside. Next learning lesson is never pay contractors early. Like I said earlier in this video, if I had paid them their money, they never would have came back to the job site, and I would have had to hire somebody else and pay somebody else to finish the job, which I'd have been out double the money. So never pay contractors before the work is done, because you always put yourself in a bad position when you do that. Next thing is, if the contractor's not pulling their weight, let them go. I should have let the contractor go, because we would have finished the job faster, and I wouldn't have had to be the one to personally finish the job. So when contractors start going sideways, they usually don't get better. Cut the rope, let them go, bring somebody else in to finish the job. And then the last thing that I learned is to not splurge with your profits. I know, you do your first deal, you make 5 grand, 20 grand, 50 grand, 100 grand. You know, it's life changing. At the end of the day, like $100,000 profit, that literally changes your life overnight. I get it, but don't go out and splurge. Use that money the right way to continue to set yourself up for the future, to continue to get that next deal, to continue to profit going forward. Don't waste all the money on a party or a vacation or something silly like that. Now remember, no business background, no construction background, and no real estate background. So if you're sitting there saying that I can't do this for whatever reason, that's BS. You know, I was literally in the same exact shoes that you're sitting in at this point, with no idea what to do. I was 21 years old. You know, I went out and I got the education, and I educated myself to be able to do what I did. And if you're sitting there saying, I'm broke, I can't do this, that was me as well. I didn't have $240,000 to put into this property to purchase it and rehab it. No, I didn't know where to start. But I raised that money from private money lenders. Again, I educated myself on what that is and how to do deals when I don't have any money. So I raised money from a private money lender to fund the entire deal. And I met this lady 9 months earlier at a real estate meetup. And then when this opportunity presented itself, I picked up the phone and called her and asked if she wanted to be the private money lender, and she ended up agreeing to the terms. So again, all those excuses you're sitting there looking at, you know, none of that stuff's real. It's all here. If you want to do something, if you want to get it done, you can get it done. You deserve success. You deserve wealth. You deserve money. You just have to get that through your own personal head, because I had a problem with it. You know, I thought that money was a negative thing, especially when I started making it. But you deserve everything you have coming for you. So again, stop letting all those excuses get in the way, and let's get to this money. So if you're ready to change your life, to take your business to the next level, to start making money in real estate, comment below for me. Just say, I am ready. You know, I want this video to blow up. I want it to go viral for some motivation. So drop a comment below for me. I am ready. Hit that like button. YouTube loves the algorithm with likes. It'd be greatly appreciated. And then make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can get all the content going forward as well. As always, I appreciate you being here, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace. What's up, everyone? It's Austin Rutherford here, and I just personally want to say thank you for taking the time to watch my YouTube channel, where we talk business, finance, real estate, and how to elevate your life.
On this channel, you'll find everything from mindset to marketing to wholesaling to sales and negotiation to flipping houses to raising private money to rentals to Airbnbs. Everything you need to run your own business, you can find on this channel, so make sure you take a look at it. But if you're one of those people who want to work directly with me and build your own real estate company, make sure you check out thereblueprint.com. thereblueprint.com. What this is it's a training and a duplicate of my business. Every way in my business where we make money right now, you get everything. It's from wholesaling to marketing to raising private money to renovating houses to flipping houses to buying rental properties, and the mindset that allows you to do all those things. An in-depth look at everything inside of my business. And on top of that, you get all the documents that go along with it. You get all the scripts, you get all the templates, you get all the Excel spreadsheets, you get all the contracts, you get all the credibility packets. You get literally everything you need to run your own real estate company. And on top of all that, you get live coaching calls with me. So don't miss out on it. Make sure you check out thereblueprint.com. And again, if you have any suggestions on YouTube content, YouTube videos that you want to hear more about, make sure you drop a comment in the description below. If you have something, let me know so we can get that content out to you as quickly as possible. Again, as always, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate all the likes, the comments, the subscriptions, everything. Hope to see you on the next video. Peace.